Hi, welcome once again to Senior Focus. I'm your host, Bill Adams, and Senior Focus is a show designed for people over the age of about 50. We come to you a couple times each month through Armstrong's Channel 20 and 100, and thank you to Greg Roten. Thanks also to Keith Kaiser and all the folks at the Mill Creek Metro Parks. We're today outside with the beautiful Lake Glacier in the background, and today we're going to be talking about the public library, and we'll let you know all about the services they have to offer, not only for seniors but for every age group. And we're also going to be talking about the levy they have on the ballot this fall. And to my immediate left is the director, Heidd Daniel.
Hi.
And to her left is Janet Lowe, who is communication director for the library
Yeah.
system. Thanks for coming out.
Sure, thanks for having us.
Yeah. Well, why don't we start at the top about the levy that's coming up, because I know that's obviously important to the operation of the library.
Right.
Do you want to talk about some of the general information?
Absolutely. So the levy currently makes up about, over half of our operating budget, about 58% actually, and in last year. And so it is a very critical piece of how the library maintains its buildings, its programs, its staff, its computers, its collection. So the other part comes from state funding, of course, the Public Library Fund, which is state funded money. And that money, of course, has slowly gone away over time. So the shift has been to more funds coming from our levy as opposed to the state funding, which traditionally made up a larger bulk of our operating budget. So the levy has become more and more critical to us as time goes on. So right now we currently have a 1 mil operating levy and a 1.8 mil operating levy. And those together equal 2.8 mil, of course. And we passed those in 2009 and 2010.
Okay.
And we know in 2014 we needed to be back on the ballot again in November. And when we looked at that, we started asking ourselves, what did we need realistically to operate into the future? And for the library, what's interesting is we operate completely debt-free. So we don't accumulate any debt. We don't do bond issues. When we build our buildings, we build them from money that we've accumulated and saved specifically for those projects. So there's a lot of planning involved in our budget and long-term forecasting of our needs. And so we started looking at the next 6 years out, what will we need to operate and maintain healthy, with the assumption that state funding will remain and that it will decrease, but that it won't entirely disappear.
Sure.
Which is our, of course, our hope. Or that it even might stabilize, but we thought we'll plan for a little less. So we tried to be realistic in what we needed. And rather than come back on the ballot and ask for the full 2.8 mils, we thought, can we do it with a little bit less? We know that many social service agencies in the Valley are operating more and more with levies as funding shifts. So we thought, what could we do to maybe help the taxpayer a little bit and still make sure we're providing a strong, high quality, excellent library system, because of course that's critical to us. So we came up with a number of 2.4 as what mils is what we would need. So that's a reduction for the taxpayer. When it gets tricky is how it's worded in the ballot. So since we currently have two levies, a 1 mil and a 1.8 mil, we opted to let the 1 mil expire.
Okay.
And on the ballot, you will see our 1.8 mil levy and an additional 0.6. So it says increase of 0.6, but it's actually a decrease of about 11% for the homeowners.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, in the information that's on your website, and I always look at an average home of $100,000.
Right.
I mean, I think a lot of people use that. You could
Sure,
have
standard.
a larger size home or a smaller, but currently people are paying about $86 for $100,000 evaluation.
Yes.
And this will actually bring it down to 76?
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
So less than Amazon Prime. That's right.
Well, I mean, that's kind of rare, actually, to see something go down in your taxes. So
it is rare, and it has to do with the fiscal stewardship that's been in place for the library for a number of years, and our desire to continue that. And it does. It's also because we operate debt free that we're able to do that in the way that we plan and save for our buildings. We know as we finished our current 6-year strategic plan, and we're currently working on our facilities plan, we know that our big ticket items are our Canfield Library that we're about to break ground on. We know we'll be doing something on the west side, and we know that we have a large renovation of our main library, which is our biggest ticket item
Right.
in the heart of downtown Youngstown. And of course, we're looking at some of our aged buildings and what we can do to address those. But with those needs in mind, we don't have answers to those questions yet, but we start planning for them. We've been planning for Maine for a number of years and accumulating the money we need. So we can look at that and say, we know in 6 years we won't have a high ticket item like renovation of Maine any longer once we've, undertaken that. So we could do with a little bit less, because we won't have those items. And we really were just trying to be conscientious about what could we do to operate with the best fiscal responsibility possible. And, we also thought about the fact that the rollback taxes, the laws have changed recently. So, homeowners would lose a rollback tax on a replacement levy or a new levy. So
Okay.
we wanted to do the best we could to ensure people kept that. And the only way we could really do that is to have a renewal. And so this way people get to keep the rollbacks on the largest chunk of this, which is the renewal of the 1.8 mil. And then we just have the increase of 0.6, which is actually a decrease. So we
Well,
can't
yeah,
say it enough.
Yeah, in the grand scheme, again, people were paying less.
Right.
And I guess, Janet, it helps, again, I was looking that the Vindicator and the Business Journal have come out and supported this. They wrote very
have.
good editorials. And
They've been very supportive
Yeah.
and very helpful in trying to explain in stories, as we're trying to do here, and thank you for your help.
Sure.
To get that message across, because the ballot language will be renewal plus increase. It doesn't factor in the fact that we're allowing the 1 mil levy to expire, which is
Okay.
what helps result in the
Right.
decrease.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so, again, this will be for 5 years?
Yeah, it's a 5 mil or a 5-year levy that will take us through the next 5 years. And of course, our hope is, then situations with state funding and stuff will have stabilized somewhat. And so, but we feel that this is the amount that we need for the next 5 years.
And we were very happy to be able to give taxpayers a break.
We were.
That was another one of our priorities, so
It
it worked
was.
out very well.
It was a big priority for us.
And of course, people can go right onto your website, which is libraryvisit.org or org, and they can get all the specifics about this. Or I guess they can call you guys, right?
They can.
They can call us.
They can call us.
Where would they call?
They would call 330-744-8636. And we have a wonderful staff that answers our phone, and we'll direct them to the right person. They can ask for the communications department and get me. That'd be fine.
Okay.
And we're always willing to, explain if people need a little bit more clarity on it. We know it's confusing. We just don't want voters to get to, the polls and
Confused,
and
yeah.
get confused,
Yeah.
right? So I thought they said it was a decrease, but it says increase. So, and we also
Well-
want to stress that it's important for people to get out and vote. Period. For all of the issues that are on the ballot, that's an important part of civic life. And if there's something you care about, it's important to get out there and.
Well, I
voice your
guess that's a
opinion.
message, too, is to folks that are out there, and I think seniors especially tend to vote, in a higher percentage. They'll go out
Sure.
almost every election. So I don't want to put you on the spot, but if there are senior groups or church groups and that kind of thing, if they wanted to hear about this, you would go out and speak to them?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
We said that together.
Yeah, we did.
You both go, or one.
Right. We would definitely make sure someone would be available
Okay.
to do that. And we do have 2 levy co-chairs this year for our levy campaign. Of course, the levy campaign is run by the Citizens Committee for the Library Levy, and the co-chairs for that are Lori Shandor and Danny Catullo. So they also would be willing to join us speaking in case you've already, heard me speak and you want to
Wanna
liven
hear
up a
someone
little.
else.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and again, we'll come back to this towards the end of the program to remind people about the levy. But we also wanted to talk about a number of the different programs that you have available, not just for seniors, but for every age.
Sure. Yeah.
Maybe we start with seniors. Are there some things that are sort of geared toward people over 50?
Yeah, definitely. I think we try really hard to be all-inclusive in our programming efforts, but we do have some special programs, for example, special delivery. That's not just for people over 50, but
Also
it
maybe
is
disabled?
right. It's also for people who are disabled or homebound due to circumstances. But it also, if you have issues with driving or just can't, have limited mobility for some reason, you could contact them and they will, for free, mail items to your house.
Okay.
And mail them back. And of course, we have a large variety of large print items in case eyesight is an issue for you. And we also have magnifiers and other items to assist with that as well. Audiobooks, magazines, you can get pretty much anything sent through special delivery. And it's a wonderful service.
So it's right
Goes
to your
right
door.
to your door. And then
it's
you just
free.
put it, it's free, and then you put it back in the envelope and mail it right back to the library.
Couldn't be
So
easier.
It really couldn't. And those items don't accrue fines, and they have a little bit longer checkout period to accommodate the mailing. So
And we have a wonderful staff in that department that gets to know the customers and helps them and alerts them if maybe a book genre that they like particularly has some new arrivals or something. So
Right.
it's really a nice service. We get a lot of positive feedback from the seniors that are
do.
participating.
Are
Yeah.
they headquartered out of the Maine?
They
library?
They are. Mhm.
Okay.
It's
So-
not a walk-in service, I'm sorry. It's
No.
not walk-in, but you can arrange it by phone and everything comes through the mail.
right.
So it's almost like having a library in your house. in effect,
Absolutely,
because
absolutely.
You're,
We
you're
come
there
to
in your
you.
house,
Right.
and they bring the library right out to you.
Right. We try to make sure that there's no barriers for accessibility to library items, no matter what your circumstances are. So.
Yeah. And you talked about maybe picking books based on the interest of the person. I know, you have a whole lot of different book clubs and discussion groups. And in fact, I live in Austintown area, and as we film this evening, there's going to be a history group that meets there.
Yeah.
Right, and they
Yeah.
meet regularly.
They
so
do. It's an ongoing group, so even if you saw this taping later, you would have an opportunity to look. If you go into our calendar of events, which you can pick up at any library called Happenings, or you can go online, again, libraryvisit.org, and print out the calendar of events. I think you'll see that we have a lot of programs and events, but we have 2 history clubs right now taking place throughout the system, and I think, if there's not one in your area and you're interested in starting one, if you talk to the staff, I'm sure they'd be interested in helping to arrange that. We love to have those types of book clubs meet with us. We know that there's a lot of history aficionados in the area. Our Lunch and Learn series, which is sponsored by the Friends or provided by the Friends at our main library, is a great program for people, especially if you happen to be near downtown. You can bring your lunch, and there's always interesting speakers, different topics, ranging from history to cultural. So there's a wide variety of those. We also have a lot of programs that are geared towards younger kids. So, grandchildren or even adults programs that aren't necessarily geared towards seniors, but are craft programs. We have knitting groups that meet regularly.
Oh,
we
okay.
have, all kinds of scrapbooking classes.
Yeah, I was just going to say,
Yeah.
I saw that listed here.
Yeah.
There are 4 pages, and this is just for 1 month.
one
That's for
month.
September.
Yeah, and
Just for
that might
September,
be
yeah.
a little light. You may, I think for summer we usually have 8 pages, and so.
Well, just going through this again for seniors who, and this could appeal to anybody, but you have a speaker who's going to be speaking about World War II and his time in Normandy and also in a prison camp, I believe. You've got, I saw the, the SCORE, the Senior Corps of Retired Executives, and they
Right.
help people who are starting up their own business.
And that's a
seniors,
wonderful
yeah.
partnership for us. And it's in conjunction with our BIC Business Investment Center, which is
Okay.
at our main library. And our business librarian is so willing to help startup businesses do research. He can do market analysis for people. He has a wide range of skills. A lot of people don't realize that you don't always have to go out, especially if you're a newer company or startup. You don't always have to go out and pay someone to do your market analysis. If you want to get started on your own, we can help you do that and show you the resources and tools we have available at the library to do that. And he can help with business plans, and we have a grant librarian that can assist with research on grants and funding opportunities. So at our main library, there's a lot of opportunities for people who are interested in, developing or growing businesses.
Is that up on the second floor of the research, or the, yeah,
Yes, it
Yes,
is. Yep.
in our
Okay.
information services department.
Right.
right. And speaking of up there on the second floor again of the main library, have you done some additions with the technology, like the, what do you call them, maybe iPads or?
Right, yes,
Those
we
type of-
do. We
okay.
actually, that's on the first floor, we introduced this year a technology playground.
Okay.
And it will probably be moving to some branches along the way. But we have different iPads, tablets, Surfaces, whatever the newest tablets are out for people to sort of play with and experience. We have a nice big Apple computer as well, because a lot of people have a lot of familiarity with the more traditional PC, but less experience with the Mac. So
Right.
we wanted to give people a different experience. But all of the different tablets. And, one question that people ask me a lot is about our ebooks and our e-readers, because especially for folks who might have, maybe don't want to read, the big print, because the large print, because it's maybe too large. The great thing about e-readers is, of course, that you can adjust
Oh,
the
to your
font
own,
to your
yeah.
own size and whatever feels comfortable for you. But a lot of people get the Nook or the Kindle or a tablet and don't know how to access the library's collection.
Yeah.
So we have a really large, extensive collection of ebooks, and we encourage people to check that out. We're very happy because all of the major publishers now allow the library to loan the ebooks, which wasn't always the case. So our collection has grown recently, people might notice, because we have access to purchasing more. But you can go in, the app is called Overdrive, but the staff, you could call or set up what's called a book a librarian appointment, and
okay.
sit down one-on-one with the librarian, and they'll show you how to access those books, how to download it. If you have other questions about your Kindle or your Nook or your iPad, whatever you may have, if they can answer them for you, they will, and they'll work with you one-on-one to get that, so that you can have access to all of that collection as well. So
Now, I think we had this discussion last year, but it's basically the move between the modern, with these
Right.
Nooks and Kindles and things, and books.
right.
But you continue to buy books, right?
Oh, yeah.
You're always, I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
people
large
think,
part of our budget.
Yeah.
We didn't stop buying books. Buying materials in all of the different formats is a huge part of what we do. Obviously, it's one of our core services is providing items, and that hasn't changed. And in fact, it was interesting because when we started our strategic planning, people really responded to, "Hey, we love books. We want you to just keep offering those." So it doesn't seem like the print format is going away anytime soon. Although I will say, if you look at our statistics, the e-formats are definitely catching up with some of the print items in terms of circulation. But we've introduced several new ways for people to access new books and bestsellers. We introduced something called Hot Picks last year, which was it's all the newest books, bestsellers, and you can walk in and most of them will be on shelf at any given moment in time. The catch is you only have 7 days to read it, and then you have to bring it back. Yeah.
Okay.
But a lot of people who are voracious readers, such as myself, will stay up all night to finish that book if it's really
Right.
engaging them. So and of course we'll have several copies of those throughout the system so that people can access books right away. And we've gotten a lot of really positive responses to that because people want to see more. It didn't impact people's ability to put a hold on a book, and we keep our hold ratio. We try to keep it high. When we notice that a book is popular, we'll buy additional copies so people don't have to wait as long. And so we continue to provide that in
So books will
obviously.
always be there.
Books will always be there.
People
For
always
the
want
foreseeable future, we don't see those going away. And that's great. It's interesting because when we talk about bridging that divide, I think a lot of recent studies have shown that people who read a lot on e-readers are also reading a lot in print books as well. So
Oh, they do both,
e-readers
okay.
have actually just allowed people to read even more. And it seems like people tend to carry their tablet or Nook or Kindle with them and read when they're on the go, and then maybe have a stack of physical books on their bedside. So it tends to be it's not an either or. You don't have to be one or the other. You could do both. So
Yeah, I'm just looking at, again, your list of activities just in this month.
Yeah.
But, just for me, and I think maybe for other people that are over 50, you've got golf, a game of a lifetime.
Yeah.
That sounds
That's
like
new.
fun.
That's
Yeah.
new this month, and
Yeah.
dance lessons.
Dance
Oh,
lessons.
dance lessons
Yep.
coming up?
Yes.
Okay, where is that? Do you know where that is?
I don't off the top of my head, but the information will be on our website or in
Okay.
our
In our
libraries,
halfways,
and
yeah.
it's
Well,
the
it's a good
first
point.
time for both of those.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to mention again the website, which is libraryvisit.org. Another one I saw at the Austintown Library is Facebook for Seniors.
Yep.
Again, going back to trying to, blend the traditional library of the books and things with some of the newer technology.
Right. And, if you look at our strategic plan, one of the things you'd note is we put an emphasis on providing learning opportunities for older adults because we, again, in our surveys and in our community conversations we heard that over and over again from folks that, older adults want to continue to learn and be, just because they're no longer in college, and that's true, I think, for adults of any age. You want to continue to be active and engaged and learn new skills and new hobbies and
Sure.
interests. So, a huge part of what we're trying to do is encourage that lifelong learning throughout the continuum. So whether you're a baby and you're coming to one of our Baby Brilliant classes, or
Right.
bringing a baby to Baby Brilliant, or you're, going to Facebook for Seniors, we want to make sure that there's something in that continuum for you to learn. And really, we think that that's a huge part of our core mission, is to provide that enrichment, to inspire people to continue to learn. So.
Well, you mentioned about how, again, and we'll, again, talk more about the levy towards the end, but how we're able to, Mahoning County, if the levy passes, actually reduce the cost to taxpayers, to
Right.
the homeowners. And it seems as though a lot of the building has been done in the past 2 decades, say.
Right.
But there are some new things as far as the locations or the branches. You have the Canfield Library. And
Yes.
I also wanted to ask about the west side,
Okay.
if you could maybe
Sure.
address those two.
Yep, sure. So the Canfield Library is planned. The Canfield Library has been planned for about 10 years now. Like I said, we tend to do things slow,
Okay.
but because we save for them, we plan for them over time. Plans for expansion of that library started about 10 years ago, and Canfield actually circulates more per square foot than any other building in our system.
Oh, wow.
So it's a busy, well-used library. In the summer, we have, sometimes 200 to 300 kids show up for programs. It's a 5,000 square foot building, so, you're
Yeah.
turning people away at that
Yeah,
point.
there's a lot of people
There's
there.
nowhere to park, and so it's very active. We've known that it needs an expansion for a long time. We engaged in a lot of conversations with the community about what was really important to them in the library. We knew they wanted to keep it on the green, so it remained, or near their
Right,
green.
downtown, I guess.
Right,
What do you
yeah,
call
in
it
the
that,
downtown
yeah.
Canfield. So we are keeping it in its current spot, and we have the land on either side and behind it that, again, acquired about 10 years ago for expansion
Okay.
purposes. And so it will go from 5,000 square feet to 18,000 square feet.
Okay.
Now, of course, that's built with the idea that it doesn't just serve Canfield proper, but it will also serve that sort of whole region of the county.
Sure.
Because sometimes people forget that when you get out sort of into the suburban areas, those libraries are serving not a larger,
Right,
radius, miles.
5 or 10
right.
miles. Whatever.
Well, or even more. If
Yeah.
you have a library like Tri-Lakes out in North Jackson, Lake Milton,
Right.
it's also serving Berlin Center and parts of Ellsworth. And Canfield, of course, will serve parts of Ellsworth and Greenford and Greene, out into those areas. So they're a little bit larger because they need to serve a little bit larger population out in that area. So we're excited about that library. It's going to have big kids area, nice meeting room, and a lot of modern technology integrated with a much larger collection.
Now, on this end of town, or closer to Youngstown, you have the west side branch, which there's discussion. Is that still ongoing about joining with Mill Creek?
Yes, that discussion is still ongoing. We had a community committee that worked on some issues with us around it, and in the end, they advised also that moving to Mill Creek was probably the best idea for the library. We're still in ongoing conversations about that. We haven't finalized anything or made any final decisions, and We know that that building needs to be addressed because it's in very poor condition, especially the parts that the public doesn't see. But we do want to do something there,
Right.
and it's still an ongoing conversation.
And again, that would be the old ice house, or not ice house.
The
but
warming house for the
warming
ice skating
house.
rink, right,
Right,
right.
at Wick Recreation
Right, that is the
area.
conversation that has been taking place so far.
Okay. And again, we're talking with Heidd Daniel, who's the director of the Youngstown and Mahoning County Public Library, and also with Janet Lowe, who's their communication director. And we have a little less than 5 minutes to go, but why don't we go back to what we started with, which is the upcoming levy,
Right.
and talk again about how this is going to work. And I guess the main point to take away is it's actually a reduction.
Yes,
in
it is.
cost.
It's a reduction. The ballot language forces us to use the word increase, but it is actually a reduction in taxes. So it's about 11% for the average homeowner, and we have been very conscientious to make sure that we can both be a quality library system, but also try to be fiscally responsible and give the taxpayer as much of a break as we can. So to be good stewards of our community.
And the reason that it's a decrease is that we currently have 2 levies. We're going to allow one to expire, we're going to renew one, but we're adding a little to it, and that's where the word increase comes in.
Right.
But we're letting a much larger one expire.
Right.
So,
Okay.
so overall, the package is a reduction.
Right. So it's going from, it'll say 0.6 increase, but the whole 1 mil is going to go away. So
Right. So the overall, it was going to be like 2.8 mil, and it'll be down to 2.4 mil.
That's correct.
Correct.
And again, as I was reading in the materials, if you have a $100,000 home, or that's the approximate valuation, instead of paying $86 per year, you would now be paying $76,
Right.
which is less.
Lower.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Okay. And again, you want to talk a little bit about, maybe Heidi, about how what portion this is of your overall budget and how the budget works.
Right, yes, it's a large portion of our budget. It's 58% of our operating budget for last year. Those numbers have fluctuated over time. Again, the state funding makes up the rest of that, and it's dwindled over time. And so a huge part of our budget is made up of that. And of course, we want to remain positive throughout this, whole campaign process, but we do want to remind people that if we lose over half of our budget, we will, of course, need to make dramatic cuts to deal with that situation.
Well, but the past history has been pretty successful,
Sure.
right? Your last
Yeah.
campaign,
Sure.
you had a good, 70+%?
Yeah,
We've had
absolutely.
good turnout and good voter support, but that's why it's important for people to get out and support us and vote.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, is there anything else? We have about a minute left. Anything that you wanted to mention, or just in general,
Well,
come
we
out to
did-
the library?
We just want people to
Definitely
come out
that.
to the library. We want people to think about the special delivery service. If not for yourself, you may have a family member that could
Sure.
benefit from that. And it's really important to get out and vote.
Yeah, and even with special delivery, I'll just add on to that. Even if you're not homebound or disabled, and you're not 100% positive you qualify, but you have a hard time accessing a library, call, because they'll work with you. So
Okay.
yeah,
Well, thank you very much,
Sure.
both of you, for
Thank
coming
you.
on.
Thank
And
you.
I'm Bill Adams, and you've been watching Senior Focus. We come to you a couple times each month through Armstrong's Channel 20 and 100. Thank you to Greg Roten, who brings the show on air. And also thanks to Keith Kaiser from Mill Creek Metro Parks, who allows us to use the beautiful Davis Visitor Center. And if you're in the area, anywhere in the Mahoning County near a Metro Park, why don't you go out and sample the Metro Parks? That's what they're there for. Again, until next time, we want to thank you for watching.